All right, we're doing a throwback today. Like a year ago, we used to do a series called How I Play. And basically, I build a deck and I show you how I play a certain hero. And maybe my play style is a little bit different than what you're used to. Maybe it just gives you kind of new ideas of how to play the hero. I don't know, a bunch of different things. But people have been asking for it again recently. So I decided to do another one. Now, I didn't know what hero to choose for the first one to do in a long time. So I asked my YouTube members and my patrons over on Patreon. A big shout out to them. Thank you so much for the support. Because of your support, we could do most of these videos on this channel. That consistent income really helps out. So I greatly appreciate it. If you ever want to join and get exclusive videos or get longer videos, extended editions of certain videos, or to vote on things like this, or many other benefits, go over to either patreon.com/d20 woodworking or click the join button down below on desktop for YouTube, um, and just join at the woodworking beginner tier, right? It's $3 a month, cup of coffee, helps at this channel a ton. I greatly appreciate them all. But this is who they voted on combined. They voted on Thor to be the first hero that I do this series for. Again, I'm hoping to do this once a week or every other week or so. So for those that are new with it, what we're going to do first is drop down to the table. I'm going to show the cards. I'm also going to, in the description, put the Marvel CDB link so you can just see it that way if that's easier for you. Then we'll talk strategy. Then we'll talk about generally how I would play the deck. All right, so we have our deck lined up down here below. First thing you're gonna notice is this is a 42 card deck. I don't mind going over 40 cards a little bit. I know some people are kind of against it. I don't mind it depending on the hero and depending on how many upgrades and supports we have. Thor has a good amount in this deck. There's 11 upgrades and supports. So if you get all of them out, you're cycling through like, 20 some cards, which I think is perfectly fine. The other thing, we used to separate strategy a bit. We'll talk about strategy in a little bit, but generally speaking, Thor is very good at hitting things very hard. He's good at gathering minions. You could do a minion slaying deck. There's a lot of them out there. I don't lean into that because it's not my favorite type of deck to do, but it's absolutely an option. For me, I'm looking to make Thor deal a lot of damage, to do massive hits, and I'm looking at my allies to remove threat for me. That's my biggest weakness, right? Is removing threat. So we're going to start with our basic allies, which are Nick Fury, Professor X, and Spider Man. And the reason that these are important is because Nick Fury can remove the 2 threat, which is really nice. Also, if we do, instead of drawing 3 cards, remove the 2 threat, you can remove 2 and 2 just like an emergency. Like if you have to get it done, you can do that. X going to give it to you. Being able to confuse the villain is really strong. Removing 3 threat is huge. Spider-Man and Miles Morales I like a lot because you can add the +2 threat. So he's now a 3 threat removal like on this first time out there, which is also good. You can also do Lockjaw if you wanted to. I didn't put him in this deck. You could throw him in and take out Throg. But I have Throg as an extra blocker because usually on solo with Thor, I'm getting hit in the face a lot. And that's something I don't want to be doing constantly. So I have Throg, but you could replace Throg with Lockjaw if you wanted, and just in case you end up with a resource heavy hand and you need something to buy, you can buy Lockjaw from your discard pile. Psylocke is a aggression type ally I like a lot, especially for builds like this. Not only the 2 threat removal, but the confusion as well. With Thor, I'm going to flip down now and again. And the reason being is because we're going to be triggering Hall of Heroes, most likely. Again, you can lean into Hall of Heroes really hard with Thor if you wanted to do a ton of gathering of minions. We're not doing that. Just as we slay minions, it'll be nice to be able to flip down when we need to trigger Hall of Heroes to draw cards, right? That would be nice, but it's not like we're doing that constantly. I don't think you need to do that constantly, but it's nice to build up to, especially for like a final push. All right, so we have Mean Swing, is 3 event cards in the aggression build. 0 cost skill. When your hero makes a base attack, exhaust a weapon upgrade on your hero, and your hero gets +3 for that attack. So Thor currently has 2 attack. When he gets Meow Meow, he has +1 attack, so he's at 3. Combat training is going to give us 4. Now, my thought process with this is that you can exhaust Mior. You can exhaust that to do this, or you can exhaust Godslayer. Either one works. Sometimes you don't want to exhaust for Mean Swing, depending on the other cards that you have, but you probably do. Godslayer in general, if we're doing a Mean Swing, we get the higher attack on the Mean Swing. Godslayer is nice for when a hero makes a basic attack against a unique enemy. Exhaust Godslayer and hero gets +2 for that attack, right? So we got 3, 4 damage. Now it's 5, 6 damage against like a villain or something like that constantly. Unless we have Mean Swing, then they could do 1 additional damage, essentially. So We also have pitchback because we are aerial traded as long as we have our hammer attached. Now, again, pitchback is a one cost event. Aerial attack, you can only play if you're an aerial hero. After your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. It costs 1. Phenomenal card. Absolutely love it. Um, so we're going to use that. Again, it's dealing it to an enemy. So if Thor attacks a minion and there's another minion out there, we can now attack the same minion or a different minion, which I really, really like. I like cards that are going to allow us to spread around our damage in case we get that buildup of minions. We have Godlike Stamina, which is basically if you're Asgard, I think you have to have in there. Heal 2 damage from your identity. You may discard a status card from your identity. This is generally nice because you don't want to be confused. You don't want to be stunned. It's going to help out a lot. Then we have Limitless Stamina, is a one cost event. Again, you can only play if you're 14 hit points, but it's already up, right? We're back to slaying minions. Great. We can use either his resource generators that Thor has, which is his what's it called? God of Thunder, which you can exhaust to generate a lightning resource. There's 2 of them in there. We also have a martial prowess for the attack events in case you're playing like a pitchback or one of your other cards that are attack events, right? So on and so forth. All right, so we have our doubles, which I like for this. Then we have Godslayer, which we talked about a little bit. It's a 3-cost upgrade. Aggression is restricted, so you can only have 2 restricted. And I believe the hammer is restricted. Yes, it is. So again, this will allow us, just when we're swinging like normal against unique enemies, to deal a little bit extra damage. I like it. Martial Prowess to generate for an attack resource. We're using this for pitchback. You can also use this for like hammer throw, which is an attack, right? You can use this for, I think there's one more. No, that's it. We're just using it really for those 6 cards in general. Again, you can take that out if you think you have enough resource generators, but I like to be resource heavy. Combat Train, add the +1 attack. Hall of Heroes. Every time we defeat a minion, we put a counter on here. When you get 3 counters on here, Alter Ego action, you can exhaust this card, remove the counters, and draw 3 cards. So if you're at 6 cards when you draw up, you get up to 9 cards. Really strong, really solid. Death Focus, you can remove this if you want. I just like it again for Hammer Throw, and I like it for Lightning Strike. They're both superpower cards. It allows you to, again, just focus on other things with your hands to generate resource, right? So I like superpower for that. Crew quarters, every time you flip down, you get to heal a damage, heal that one. You have a lot of life, right? Thor has an insane amount of life with 4 plus his helmet, I think, isn't what, another 5? Yeah. 5? Yeah. So he's up to 19 life. You probably don't need to heal that much, but again, it's nice to just be able to heal a little bit if need be. Finally, we have Unshakable. Once again, you can actually get rid of this card because we have Limitless Stamina, or I'm sorry, Godlike Stamina, that it's not as bad because you can discard identity cards, but sometimes you get stuck where like, I don't have that, I lost other cards, whatever. Unshakable is just like nice. It gives you an extra buffer. Again, I don't want to be stunned with Thor. Like that's going to slow him down so much. So any way to prevent that from happening, I'm 100% for. So, all right, let's pop up, talk a little bit about strategy, and then we'll play through some practice hands. So like I said, Thor's job in the beginning is to build out, right? He just wants to build out a little bit. We want to get his Asgard card out there because that will allow us to increase our hand size, which is really strong because it's not just our hand size on our hero side, right? It's on your alter ego side as well. So your alter ego starts with a 5 hand size. I said 6 before. I was thinking for Asgard already, but it gets up to a 6 hand size, 5 on hero side. You definitely want this right away. Hall of Heroes, you can wait a little bit for that. Combat Training, I like. Death Focus, you can wait a little bit. God of Thunder, as your resource generators, is huge. Get that in right away. God Slayer, you can wait on a little bit if you need to. Martial Prowess, I like. Then the Helmet is really strong. It's not needed right away, but it will need it at some point. So our first like round or two, we want to build out. Generally speaking, Thor's good enough at controlling the board state and not worrying about threat too much, right? So we're going to try to control the board state as much as possible for minions and whatever else. If we need to just exhaust Thor to remove 1 threat, then we'll do that. Whatever it takes to just control everything on the board, that's fine. Because we're going to be able, once we're done building, do crazy amounts of damage. Like that's not even going to be a hard thing for Thor to do. So, all right, let's pop down to the table and we'll do a couple of practice round hands so you can see what I'm kind of thinking, and then we'll do a final push scenario. All right, so we're down on the table, pretty zoomed in so you can hopefully see these cards clearly. So 2, 4, 5. So we're going to draw 5 cards, see what we get. Spider-Man, 2 Defender of 9 Realms, which probably isn't ideal yet, but depending on what your minions are looking like, might not be the worst thing in the world. So, here's the thing. If you have Spider-Man, Miles Morales here in the beginning and Defender of 9 Realms, you kind of prioritize what you want to do. Personally, I'd probably not do Defender of the Nine Realms in the very beginning. Like, I want to wait until there's a bit more threat. Now, if there's a decent amount of threat, maybe you do it, but there's no reason to really trigger the whole minion thing yet because, well, I mean, I guess you could do it with drawing 2 cards, which would be good for us. Actually, no, we should do that so we can draw extra cards. Let me rethink that. All right, I'm going to get rid of 1 Defender, 1 Spider-Man. We're going to keep these because it's going to be a resource generator for this and then Defender. Okay, so then we'll draw 2 more cards. Limitless Anima. Oof, okay. That's a tough one to get. Actually, no, that won't be too bad. Now that I think about it. So, search your deck and discard pile for a Meow Meow upgrade. It's on the bottom. Shuffle your deck. So now we got the hammer. All right, so what we're going to do, shuffle this up. And we're going to flip up to other Thor side, big Thor side. So we're going to use our double to get our resource generator. I'm going to use Defender of the Nine Realms. So we would get a minion into play. They would come engage with us, and then we get to remove 3 threat from a scheme. So if it was on the main scheme, a side scheme, whatever it may be, remove that. And then we engage the minion, so draw 2 cards. X is going to give it to you, and the other Defender of the Nine Realms. So it's not ideal that I lost like all my Defender of the Nine Realms already, right? Because we threw away 2. This is the 3rd one. That's a little rough to start off with, but hopefully we figure it out. I'd probably hold on to X then if I could, but I don't think we're going to be able to. So exhaust God, then to generate a resource to get our hammer in. I would also deal the 3 damage to knock out the minion at this point. So we remove threat. We knocked out the minion, hopefully. If not, then I have to prioritize dumping one of these cards to put Limitless Stamina to ready your hero and deal 6 more damage. Hopefully that knocks them out. But here's the thing. I want Asgard. That is the most important card right now. So we're going to dump these 3 cards, and I get a +1 hand size. So we would ready up. Draw up to our 5 cards now because Asgard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. They would probably attack me. I'll just take the hit. I have 14 life. I don't really care too much about that. And now we have the helmet, which is even better. So there's 2 ways to approach this with the cards that we have. I would prioritize personally um, the helmet over Psylocke right now. Now, we have to be careful again because we basically lost almost all of our threat removal at this point, right? So we lost our um, what am I thinking of? We lost our Professor X. We lost our Defenders of the Nine Realms. So we're in a little bit of a trickier spot. So we're gonna dump 2 cards. Would we dump 2 cards? No. I'm going to exhaust God of Thunder and throw away God Slayer for now to play the helmet. Give us the extra life. Then there's 2 ways to do this. You can, if you're just caring about massive amounts of damage right now, you can just deal some damage to a minion or whatever else that came out there. Use Godlike Stamina to also heal yourself and discard a status card that you need. And then throw away Psylocke to deal 4 damage somewhere else after you made an attack. If you had to thwart, you could thwart if you really needed to. We probably could have maybe prioritized Psylocke if we really need to, but I don't think we did at this point. So that's thrown away. So then we draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we're just taking a hit. So let's just say we're down like half our life now, but we did have the +5 hit points. That's pretty good. Okay, Nick Fury. So again, at this point, I'm not worrying about massive amounts of damage. I'm worrying about getting God of Thunder out there. So I would probably use 1 God of Thunder and a Mean Swing. Actually, no. What we would do, I take that back. I would use a God of Thunder, 2, 3, 4 to play Nick Fury to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. We also might be drawing extra cards at this point because of this, but we're just gonna assume that we're not. We'll dump 2 cards. 2 cards to play a God of Thunder. Use a God of Thunder to play Unshakable. We have Nick Fury now to thwart 2 if need be. We could thwart 1. We could deal 3 damage, whatever it may be. So you can tell we're already a little bit built out. It does stink losing 2, 3, 4, 5. Most of our stuff at this point or threat removal things, but I think we're doing okay. Crew quarters is fine. Godlike Stamina, being able to heal again is nice. Now we're just kind of dealing damage and whatnot, which is good. And we can just kind of keep that process going. So that's everything down here now. Let us then advance the game a little bit and just show what an end game strategy push would look like. All right, let's say we're getting toward the final push of the game, right? We're trying to deal, I don't know, 18 damage, 20, let's say 20 damage, right? Let's just make it a round number at the very, very end. All right, let's say we're getting close to our final push of the game, and we're trying to deal, I don't know, 20 damage or whatever it may be. It doesn't really matter at the end. And this is what our board state is kind of looking like. We can have X amount of damage. We could say there's 1 damage on Spider-Man. Doesn't really matter. But let's say we have 3 Hall of Heroes counters. So we have our 6 hand size from Asgard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have all of our cards here, Defender of Nine Realms, which is really nice. Okay, let's say it's the start of our turn. We can now exhaust this to remove our 3 counters to draw 3 cards. So 1, 2, 3. We weren't able to put in Godslayer originally, but that's all right. So let's flip up. And one of the first things I want to do is be able to use Defender of Nine Realms to get a minion in play. Whatever amount of threat they have, we engage a minion. Now we can draw 2 cards. I mean, this is how quickly that Thor can have a massive hand size and kind of go nuts if need be. So, what we'll have to do is we would have to start, in my opinion, with a card like Hammer Throw. And the reason being is because what we're going to do, also there's like stuff on this card, drives me nuts, is we'll be able to do 8 damage to the enemy. So let's say the minion doesn't have cards. So we deal 8 damage. So we exhaust our hammer and then deal 8 damage to enemy and then return the hammer back to our hand. So if we get rid of Hammer Throw, that's 8 damage over 12. Let's exhaust one of our God of Thunders, and now we can put Mjolnir back into play. It's kind of hard when they're all stacked like this. And then we can now, let's see, we'll do that. Okay. So we will then exhaust to deal or 2, 3, 4 damage. Plus, we're going to exhaust Mjolnir again to get 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we're up to a total of 15 damage overall. The hammer is now exhausted. So 15, what we'll do then is after we've done that, we can use one of our God of Thunders to play Pitchback. Deals 4 more damage. So now we're up to 19 damage at the end. Okay, so now let's throw away, I don't know, Godlike Stamina to play a Limitless Stamina so we can ready our hero again. So we're swinging for another 4. So we were at, what did I just say? 18 damage, something like that. We were at 6 or 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 4 more damage puts us at 23 damage for our final push. What I'd probably do at this point is dump these 4 cards to play Nick Fury. We could just deal excess damage if we wanted to. So we were at 23. This would bring us up to 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Instead, if you drew the 3 cards, we wouldn't get anything great anyway. So I'd rather take the excess damage at that point and kind of push. So you can see once you have your resource generators, you kind of need to time out. It'd be better if I had Godslayer, and I purposely set up so I didn't, just because sometimes you're like, I can't get that card in. Because it would have been nice to exhaust Godslayer for the mean swing and use the hammer again for something else. We didn't really need to, though. The hand worked out fine. Or we could use superpower to make the hammer throw cheaper too. I didn't even think of that. But anyway, so being able to be unshakable to give us steady in case we did have a stun or confuse on us, we didn't have to worry about it. Being able to deal Nick Fury excess damage is really strong, really good for us. But you can tell, especially like if you line up your final push with having a 6 hand size on this side, drawing 3 cards with Hall of Heroes because it's up to 9 cards, then being able to play Defender of the Nine Realms, wherever that card went to, and triggering the whole engaging a minion, right? Or put that minion to play engage with you. And after you engage a minion, being able to draw 2 cards. Now you're up to 11 cards total. If you have your 2 resource generators, that's huge, right? A lot of our cards are pretty cheap and not hard to play. So we'd be able to do a lot. So that's just a rough idea. I mean, we're at the end. Like I said, we're not even really fully built out. You can probably squeeze out a little extra damage. Our hand was suboptimal with like getting not Martial Prowess, but getting Throg and Professor X and Psylocke. These aren't big damage cards at the end, but it didn't really matter. You just need a handful of damage. And like I said, you can do 20 some damage pretty easily. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed this, this how I play for Thor. Again, this is just to give you an idea, right? It isn't a step-by-step guide, but it gets you a rough idea of how I approach Thor. I like the hero. I like him a lot. Again, I think with him, you have to lean into your allies for threat removal. I think that's one of the biggest things. As long as you do that, I think you'll be generally okay. It is a little tough on aggression, but If you get your ally spaced out, it's not so bad. Like I said, you can remove some of these cards if you wanted to, like Unshakable or even Crew Quarters, and then instead put in Lockjaw. That would work as well. So, anyway, once again, huge shout out to my patrons and my YouTube members for helping me pick this hero. I'm going to have them vote again soon. So, again, if you want to be a part of that or just to support this channel, or maybe if you're a woodworking beginner already and you didn't realize that, go check the community tabs or the or the Patreon page, and you'll see all the different things you can vote for. So, I appreciate you all. Thank you for the support. And if you watch this video, do me a huge favor, make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. All that stuff helps a ton. And I will see you all next time.